You ready? All right. First up, we have a continuation of a public hearing on the Pisano annexation. We don't need to read the notice, so I will move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Or discussion? And then make a motion about the joint meeting.
Oh, you want to? You don't want to keep it open and?
No, close our singulars
Close
and
our,
then
okay.
set a second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
On.
So, all in favor?
Yep.
Okay. Aye. I'd like to move to, because we have the town board's permission in writing from their meeting, set a joint public hearing for this annexation at the next joint town and village board meeting.
Which is when?
March 26th. No, March 27th.
March 27th at the town, yeah, at 7:30 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Agenda. I would, we discussed a lot of this before, but remove the presentation.
Yep.
Remove the flex, number 7, the flex on energy audit.
Okay.
And Rebecca, you wanted to remove the speed limit?
Yeah, just
until we have the full board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Suggestion, Rebecca, which we can. I was going to ask you if you would like to refer it to the Transportation Implementation Committee because the state, we have a
Because there are state
representative.
roads, yeah, okay.
So that, and then we could do it, see what they think.
Yes.
You want to do that?
Do you know when they meet?
Yes. It's always the third Tuesday night of the month, and one is coming up in March. Katie, would
Okay,
you?
that actually works out. I'm making a note right now.
To send an email to Gil Gowrie, who's the chair, asking her if I'll send you the exact date, asking her to put on the agenda for the TIC committee a recommendation and discussion on lowering limits in the village to 25 miles per hour.
Should be the 18th. Should be the 18th.
I'm gonna email you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And Rebecca, you wanted to pull the minutes from the consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Any other changes?
I'd like to ask if we could add the GSI request.
Oh, good idea. GIS.
I always do that. You always have to correct me.
Geographic Information System.
I know, but I still don't get it.
Transposed in your head.
Okay.
All right, that's a good
And
idea.
I would like to just briefly chat with you guys about whether you would be in favor of making the first block of Grove Street 2-hour parking. And if you think it's a good idea, then I will, for the next meeting, come with all of the stuff we need.
So we'll add those two items. Anything else? I move to approve the agenda.
Second?
All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. And public comment. Either of you gentlemen? Yes, sir.
I want to know when the village is going to enforce the law about clean sidewalks.
In what way?
Snow.
That part I figured.
These are pictures I took yesterday afternoon.
Thank
A walk for half an hour on South Chestnut, North Chestnut, Church Street, Worth Avenue, and Henry W. Du Bois.
Where's that number 4? Do you know?
That's your new crosswalk in Henry W. Du Bois.
Okay.
You also know there's fire hydrants that are blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah. When are you going? Will we have to wait till the 4th of July to have sidewalks clear?
Of course not.
Yeah. The law says 24 hours.
Right. Well,
and then you must maintain. Yeah. Then it's up to the village to clean the sidewalks.
Yeah. No. Trust me. I'm well aware.
This is not just this year. It's every year I go down and complain.
Let me answer your question because it's frustrating. I know because I walk almost everywhere as well. If it's not cleared at all, that's one category of a problem, and sometimes our building department misses something, so we actually rely on people. Sometimes if there's a spot that we can't see, let us know, and we can have it cleared. The ice is, here's the problem with the ice. Yeah, like this. Mm-hmm. Where's number 23, sir?
That's right in front of St. Joseph's, isn't it?
That's up on the hill on South Chestnut.
Yeah.
In fact, 25 is the village property next to the park, which is a sheet of ice.
Yeah. The problem that we have is that once things are cleared and we have a warm day like we had on Saturday and things melt a little bit and they refreeze, it's not always apparent where the sidewalk hasn't been cleared. So this is actually the responsibility of the property owner and not the village, though it is the responsibility of the village to enforce it, like you said.
Well, the village law says after 24 hours, the village has the right to clean it. I want you to clean it.
This one I know has been cleaned since. I saw them out with snow blowers just the other day. Yeah,
Well, that was taken yesterday after
yesterday?
1 o'clock.
is that St. Joseph's?
No, that's above St. Joseph's.
That looks like it is, because Ruth
That's,
Elwell's house is right in here somewhere. So
It's hard to tell a little bit.
It's just about
I left the list at home of all the,
So St. Joseph would be this way
this
or
way.
farther?
Yep, no, toward me.
St. Joseph's down this way.
Okay, so this is south of St. Joseph.
Yes.
You want to take a look? Here, there's others as well.
And also in the vicinity of John Paul's house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that-
Probably not.
Now this one, I'm not sure.
I mean, unless I've personally seen it at one of the building inspectors,
Right, yeah.
it's
Yeah,
hard
I
to
went
tell.
in Tuesday, I went in Monday complaining about a bunch. Went in yesterday with a whole list. And the only
Went
thing
in
that's,
to the building department?
yes.
Okay.
And the only one that's been done was Salvation Army.
Since then.
Since then.
Yeah.
The library, they cleaned, they had a snowbank that was about that tall. They cleaned the path through it, but it's still, you still got a packed ice.
Right. What side of the library? On North Front Street or on
Church Street, by the parking lot, where every year where it's packed.
Right.
They don't do it.
You should try pushing a baby carriage around.
Well, I've fallen several times. I've lost work. I've lost days of work.
Yeah.
You know, and the only, a couple of years ago, the only way I got the village building department to do anything was after 5 or 6 days of coming in and giving the same list every freaking day. I came in on a pair of crutches. By 10 o'clock the next morning, every complaint I made was cleaned.
Well, I'll tell you what I can do is tomorrow I will go into the building department and I'll give them the pictures and have them go out and double check because especially when we're getting another storm, hopefully not, cross your fingers, but we may be getting another storm Sunday, Monday. I want all the sidewalks cleared in advance of that storm.
Also, have them walk between the bank down here and the village line up by ShopRite.
So
Yeah.
Because there's places, that, you know, like the cupcake shop. It's like that wide.
Yeah.
And packed ice underneath it.
Right.
Both sides of the teen center. The Episcopal Church. In fact, the Episcopal Church, you can barely see the fire hydrant.
right.
You know, that's safety. That's a
Yeah,
serious
yeah.
safety issue. No, those are.
These are relatively cleared actually.
Yeah, but that's not very.
No, it isn't. They sweep. You don't have it's up to the back of the fire hydrant.
Oh,
And they
it's
just
hard to
swept on
tell.
the-
It's hard to tell from here. Yeah.
And you just swept at us, which means you can't get at. You get to the fire hydrant, put a hose on that. You have to stand on that side of the hydrant
Right.
to work on it.
Right.
And you're standing, in the middle of a
And you're
snowbank.
supposed to dig them out.
Right.
The law
No,
says
yeah.
30 inches around
Right.
the fire hydrant.
Well, look, I'll send the building department out tomorrow and check. The thing, not that it's an excuse, but it may be part of the reason is that I believe we have 6 miles of sidewalk. So if we miss things, but we shouldn't be missing anything downtown,
After 2 weeks,
especially
Yeah.
after 2 weeks. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
even if they do a mile a day,
Yeah.
they walk out a mile a day.
Right.
They cover everything in a week.
sort of understand it when the sidewalk is up by Agway. You know, low traffic, it's out of sight. Still not an excuse, but at least more reasonable. Downtown, there's no excuse for this. I understand that.
Yeah, and these are all high
And I
traffic
understand-
areas.
right,
You
and
know,
I
where you have
understand-
to- you have people walking every day,
Right.
especially on South Chestnut. You know, you get the college kids.
Are you leaving these with us?
Yes.
Okay. Can you write what street, if you recall which ones they are?
The first 4 or 5 were Henry W. Up to the mid-teens. I think up to 18 was Church Street.
You know, I'm not even sure we need to. Just showing the picture saying, to the building department saying, look, there's obviously more than, it's
Right.
not just one place. You
No,
know?
it's a lot.
Go out and
That
check,
was,
go out and check
I think
everything.
that's on
Even if I send all three of them out there.
South
How are they gonna do that?
Chestnut.
I mean,
or North
they've
Chestnut.
done it. It's
I didn't know
just
that.
like
Gotta put down more,
the
gotta put down more salt and
And,
sand. You gotta keep putting down salt. That's the
South.
only thing that you can do. Especially downtown, because that's the thing, is it melts and freezes. You just gotta put down more salt. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah, and next to Hasbrook Park, it's almost that thick in
Yeah, it
places.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's village property, which has no excuse of being
Next to Hasbrook Park. On what side?
Hasbrook Avenue, right next to the park. Lower.
Oh, along Hasbrook. Oh, sorry. For some reason I was thinking along the parking lot. Yeah, no, along that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's village property. That has no excuse of being.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. Well, thank you for bringing this up,
But you're
bringing this to our
saying-
attention.
North Chestnut by Words?
I guess I haven't been walking around as much as I thought I
I
was.
did North Chestnut, Worth,
think you're
South
Oh,
Chestnut.
okay.
They're gonna have to go and check everything.
I think they're going to check everything. Yeah.
I do too.
And check everything ahead of the storm.
Yep. And
Yeah,
we
it's-
missed today's storm,
There was supposed to be one today?
2 inches,
Oh.
but we didn't get it.
You know, suggestion, on your website, put a clock on that says, as of such and such a time, all streets, all sidewalks have to be cleared. Yeah, that way there's no question, people, you know.
Well, they know 24 hours.
Well, the village department, if it snows,
It's the end of
if
snowfall.
if it snows at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're not enforcing it for 2 days. Because they say, well, it's 24 hours, that gives you the whole next day too.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
Right,
Yeah, so it's
right,
48 hours before they even think of doing anything.
Right.
And then you guys start badgering.
Well, you shouldn't have to be badgering anybody, sir. So let me take this to the building department. I'll get them out on foot and walking every sidewalk that we need to.
Yeah.
Because I've done it in the past. I had them out on weekends and nights looking at this.
Can you write down the streets?
Would you mind if you remember?
Yeah,
I mean, you don't have to narrate it right now. We've got other work we need to do tonight.
Or you
but-
can send me the email since you have my card.
okay, yeah, I can give you a list.
Oh, that would be easier. Yeah, that would be easier. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
That's
Yeah.
better.
And you know what? Do you think that's necessary if we're going to go look at everything anyway? I guess the examples would be
Yeah.
useful.
No, I
The
think
examples
we
would be
should.
useful. If you wouldn't mind, if you could
Yeah.
take the time, that'd be great.
All right.
And please call. My office number is 1413. So give me 48 hours. If you don't see the improvement you're looking for, please give me a call
All right.
and let me know if there's somewhere we missed or somewhere that needs a little bit
Or
more
you could
attention.
call the clerk and.
Or call the main office.
Yeah, because the fact that you have a law that states that you have to clear it and you don't enforce the law, you open the village up to liability if somebody falls.
Well, the liability would actually go with the property owner, but you're
Well,
right.
they go into deep pockets, which means the village.
I don't know. We got deeper pockets than a homeowner, but I'm not sure how deep. But I get your point. Thank you for bringing it up, and thank you for the documentation with what you said too. That's a rare thing to have that much
You know, like-
thorough background for a point you're
You
trying
know,
to
like I
make.
said, this is not the first year I've done that I complained.
Yeah,
Like I said, I went in one year on crutches to make a point.
yeah.
Yeah, nothing had gotten done after 5 or 6 days.
Well, hopefully you don't have to come in with the real crutches and the real thing.
Yeah,
Well,
cross
Thank
your
you.
fingers.
I won't, the lawyer would.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Good day.
You too.
Too.
All right.
Might we do Neil first?
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Should we go in private or just do it here?
I don't think we need to go in private, but I'm happy if the
It's
rest
up
of the
to
board.
you, Neil. Do you
I'd like to
have an
introduce.
aversion to being interviewed on
Seems pretty
camera?
private, I mean,
Come join
Yeah.
us. Come join
We're
us.
live on TV right now.
Yes.
Not to make you nervous.
gotta get this channel.
Yeah.
Rebecca, this is
I
Neil
actually wish I would
Bettis.
have shown him when I'm signing
Okay.
off on
Now, the
emergency snow
Nice.
removal.
the nice thing that I have to report to you for the first time, I think,
Let me
in a
use your
long
pen.
time,
Oh, use that one for me.
the village received a letter of inquiry asking if there were any volunteer opportunities in the village because a new village resident, he lives in Barbara Hargrave's old house,
Oh, when did Barbara move?
to Woodland Pond.
Oh, really? Huh.
And so
I love that house, by the way.
Katie
We love
sent,
it too.
It's a
yes,
great, great house.
Katie sent the letter out to all of us and I didn't let any grass grow under my
Yeah, you
feet.
snatched him right
I
off.
snatched him right away.
Because she needs
And-
housing board, I need environmental board. You got it right away.
Hey, I'm no fool.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wrote to Neil and introduced myself.
Hopefully we'll be here for a long time, and I would like to serve in many capacities.
Well, perfect, perfect. We'll rotate you through every year.
And he came to a Shade Tree Committee meeting, which turned out not to be a meeting. But we had a wonderful discussion about all the things Shade Tree does, and Neil has lots of great ideas that he would like to see a more proactive village in terms
Good.
of tree planting and tree thinking.
Not just maintaining what we have.
Not maintaining
growing
what
more
we
stuff.
have,
Literally, I guess.
Literally going up and down our streets thinking about the Shade Tree Commission every year, planting so many trees
Great.
in public. So it's fabulous ideas.
Wait, are we interviewing you for the Shade Tree Commission?
No, I'm just telling you how excited I am to have Neil want to
I know,
join
I know.
us.
Neil, so could you elaborate a little bit on what the word Sally just put in your mouth?
Sure.
But why don't you give them your background so
Please.
that you're in care.
So I have a bachelor's degree in forestry from the University of New Hampshire.
Well, welcome to the Shade Tree Commission. It's been a wonderful interview.
I only get the good ones.
Next.
Yeah.
I said the biology, so we in CC next.
I have a master's in biology from University of North Carolina, Greensboro, and a PhD in ecology from Cornell, in ecology from Cornell University.
So you're running for village board when?
And so I do research. I work part-time at the Carey Institute. I was full-time, but I'm taking care of my infant daughter, and my wife is a new faculty member at university here in town.
Do you know, is it Brad Roller? I can't remember his first name, I'm blanking. He's in charge of the grounds and, there at
Oh, yeah,
Carey. Yeah, he's an old friend, my college roommate's father.
nice guy.
So yeah, he's great. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do urban ecology research, and a big part of that is urban trees. So I'm a big fan of urban trees, and I think that a lot of times the changes that you see in urban areas can be influenced by just increasing trees. It would be nice if there were more trees, and I think people love to cut down trees, but you have to put a lot of effort into planting new trees. And so I think it would be good to help out the village with some of my background and try to plan. I'm interested in not so much just limiting the number of trees that people can cut down, which I think that's a big part of the Shade Tree Commission. I think that's an important part, but I want to maybe do some inventories of where trees can be planted and make a long-range plan for what the tree cover is going to look like in 5, 10, 15, 20 years to make sure that it's not death by 1,000 cuts of just
That's something
Literally.
the Shade Tree Commission is very interested in
Well,
doing.
I have a question for you then, unrelated to the interview. I went to a DEC conference on the effects of climate change in the Hudson Valley years ago, like 5, 6 years ago. And one of the more interesting things I learned was the projection that as the agricultural zones drift north, in the next few years, we're going to have the climate that Washington, D.C. has now, where there'll be magnolias growing wild and all that.
Yeah.
So, and I apologize, I can't remember the species, but we're going to look at the forest cover in the Hudson Valley shifting from maple,
I think maple oak, maybe maple hemlock. Hemlocks would be gone.
birch
Yeah.
Birch.
to beech to another set of 3. Like it's like 2 tripartite
I
clusters.
think maybe a tulip poplar.
I don't know what it was, but whatever it was that you see, the forest cover we're familiar with are the majority of these 3 species, and they're going to be supplanted by these new 3 species that exist here, but they're not the majority of the forest. I mean, there's beech trees around, but like the beeches will fill the niche that the maples used to, or whatnot. Now, is that what's the latest on that? In terms of if we're planting street trees in the village, we're not going to plant maples because if they're not going to survive very well in 20
No,
years.
we never would plant a maple. They're an invasive species.
Invasive from where?
Yes.
Well, there's some of the Norway maples, the
Norway
street
maples
trees.
you don't want.
We end up planting a lot of street trees that are different than the natural populations that are out there. And
Out of ignorance or because it's a good
I think
idea?
they're hardier.
And obviously, if you're constrained by like a sidewalk, you need a root system that went straight down rather than laterally, I'd imagine.
And they
things
don't,
like that.
and, yeah, they don't grow as tall.
That is something Jason,
They don't
the
throw the
chair,
wires.
has a great deal of knowledge about.
Right.
And we have bought trees for Blue to replace trees, and they are not your ordinary run-of-the-mill tree. And what I think is so exciting is to get Neil and Jason all having expertise in various areas
Overlapping, but not.
and
synonymous.
not in competition but complementary to each other.
Yep, we hopefully.
Yes. So on
Can we
behalf
bring the
of
chestnuts back?
I think, this isn't my,
We've got
my
North
area
chestnut
of
and South
research.
chestnut, but no chestnuts.
But I would love,
aren't surviving very well.
I think there's some research that, some people are trying to do that. And that's not my area of expertise, but I think eventually I think people are hoping that they'll come back.
Well, there's
I would
one-
love it if
there's
we
one-
had big
Yeah.
tree canopies that
Yeah.
covered the
This
streets.
is my daughter's,
Cover the streets, absolutely, yeah.
and chestnuts are having a very hard
Well, I
time.
know I lived above Karma Road for a while, and there's an enormous chestnut that actually Jason would. I met him because I'd go out in the morning for work, and he'd be harvesting the fallen nuts.
Yep.
And I get resentful because I lived there and paid rent. What the hell is this guy doing taking the nuts from the tree in my backyard?
Well, you could have gotten up earlier.
But what he told me was that because this one chestnut tree is surrounded by like a blanket of asphalt that goes for, there's just no other tree touching it. Whatever disease killed the chestnuts skipped this one because it had been paved around, something like that. So,
Makes sense.
I've
all right.
learned so much
how
from
do you
this group.
how do you feel the best? You've got a lot of academic background, and obviously you've got the scientific chops. How do you have any experience translating that into policy, public policy, even at the small level we have here?
Well, I was on the
Not that it's necessary. I'm just curious if you have some background.
I was on a village board in grad school.
Really?
Well, I was in Ithaca, and they let everyone, be part of democracy. There.
The new mayor is a good friend of mine.
So I was on the village, the Commons Advisory Board.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of downtowns, and I'm a big fan of trees, and so I that's my only background in community governance. My research, we try to work with a lot of community groups. I work in Baltimore, and so I do a little of that, but I'm also using you guys to learn something as well. So
Great.
you get what you pay for.
I think we will do very well. I think the Shade Tree Commission has done a lot for the village in the last 2 years, and each year it gets better and better, and with Neil on, I think it's going to be terrific.
Great.
So I would move
Wait,
that-
hold on.
Can I do my comments too?
Sure.
Since we're
Questions.
like commenting to you instead of you telling
You can
us
tell
all
we've
about
already
it.
decided we're appointing you. Now we're just picking your brain before you.
Well, I should have read up more on this.
Right. Well, one of the things that's been discussed in the past, and I know a lot of people in the community are interested, but more edibles, like more, putting in more plantation that, someone can go up to a bush and eat a berry, that type of thing.
Well,
But that's something
Yeah,
that
we have
discussed.
in the past, Neil wasn't part of this, we have to be very careful about liability
Yes.
issues. And so,
Right.
we are trying to.
If someone eats off of a bush on the side of the road, you'd think that
No,
there's
no.
a kind of buyer beware
But
common
nuts,
sense thing.
nuts on car windshields can be a real problem.
Oh, that kind of
Well,
liability.
yeah.
Or someone walking down the sidewalk and slipping on a rotten plum.
Like those goddamn sweet gums we got on the side of the
Yeah.
village hall.
So, we are
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to deal with that very,
But
very
I just
point.
wanted to put it in there.
Yeah, I know the Shade Tree Commission's big on that, and I think that's great.
Well,
Great.
easy enough.
Yay.
Any other
Okay,
questions?
no, that's it.
Your motion?
No, you move, I'm gonna second it.
I get to move. Then I will move to appoint. Actually, Neil, what's your last name?
Betez,
Mr. Betez of Elting Avenue to the Shade Tree Commission for a term and insert blank, whatever the term is.
The
3-year
term
Does
is
he fill the
3 years
vacancy?
because there's been, it's a 5-year.
So
We could go
5-year
3.
term.
I don't know if I set it up for
3.
5 years, but sure,
No.
sounds
That's
good.
when people quit and you fill a
But
3-year term.
he is filling, so
Yeah.
it
Filling
will,
for the remainder of the
Okay.
3 years.
yeah.
To fill the remainder
Yeah, so
of a 3-year
his term, I look, is going to expire in May of 2016.
All right.
Or until you
Hopefully, I'm still alive.
get sick of us, yeah. Neil, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Neil, thank you so much for volunteering.
Excellent. This is so
We
much
need
fun.
more village residents like you. Meaning more village residents working at the Carey Institute, I think is the takeaway there. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks, Neil.
So what's left on the agenda?
It's a short agenda because we're missing 2 board members.
Consent agenda, authorizing purchase of GIS software, and do we want to consider 2-hour parking on Grove? All right.
Not much.
I move to approve the consent agenda absent item 2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll move that we authorize the purchase of GIS software. Actually, you know what? We don't need to authorize it. It's already in the budget.
It's in the budget already.
It's in the budget.
We authorized the purchase when we voted to adopt the budget.
I thought we did, and I didn't understand
Well,
why. Let's do
Let's
it.
do it
Sure.
duplicative. I'll move that we
Second.
purchase GIS. All in favor?
Second.
Aye. Why 2-hour parking on Grove? Why 2-hour parking on Grove?
Okay.
Moving to the next.
You want to do that now?
Yeah, that's
The
next on my
problem
list.
is this. The Methodist Church is very, very active in community outreach, and it is also runs a nursery school. As we know, not much planning went on in the late 19th century, 20th century, and so many of the buildings, the bus garage, all of those, don't have parking. In order for people, and it's becoming more and more a problem, people who are using the bus to commute to New York are parking all day on Grove Street, particularly in the first block. That, of course, is where people need to bring their children, drop them off for nursery school. I think, and Carol Roper and I have talked about this, and I will go back to her again to make sure we're all, that a 2-hour parking in the first block of Grove Street,
So this would be.
you will be limited to
John?
2-hour parking.
So you could still park all day, but you gotta park farther away and walk a
Yeah.
little bit. Is what the gist.
So that would be Maine to John?
Maine to John, well, maybe not quite
Not
that
quite,
far
yeah, that
up.
sounds very
No,
far.
Because that's a long block.
Yeah,
It
it
would
is.
be Maine to the second driveway on Grove, on either side.
Okay.
Okay.
So we just have to have the
We should-
house number, the
yeah,
number of
we-
feet.
I'll
from
get all that.
Like
I
the number
just-
of feet
yeah.
from the central line of
I
Maine or something.
wanted just to discuss this.
I think
with
it's
you.
I think it's a good idea.
No, it
I
is
think
a
it's
good
and I
idea.
think it's a good compromise.
Okay.
Solution
Yeah.
to the problem.
Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
there have been a lot of complaints from nursery school parents and grandparents about this problem.
Right.
It is becoming increasing, I mean, they run programs in the afternoon.
Sure, yeah,
Community
absolutely.
need programs, and often those go beyond an hour.
Right.
So the 2-hour, if we said 2 hours, that would allow for parking
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, that's
So
I think
it's a
if
great
you
idea.
guys approve, I will pursue
Yeah,
it.
we don't need any motion,
Yeah.
but you just want
Yeah,
to.
and it doesn't have to go.
Conceptual.
Oh, you stole my pen because you couldn't use red.
I can't use red
All
to
right.
sign these. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will develop.
I use red because it stands out from the other
And
text.
the other thing I wanted to ask, so I can speak with Lou about this, I think we're into the second phase of parking. I would like very much to bring to you the whole concept of moving the, what do we call that thing, the machine, the parking machine
The
in the municipal lot
Parkion machine. Yeah.
out to the center so that you drive into the lot, you put your money in, and it will.
Without, so we can do it. So you can do it without getting out of the car.
Yep.
Okay. And do we have the width?
That's what I'm checking with Blue, I think we do. And extend it to 4 hours. So you can
I think
park
that's a good
there
idea.
for
Yeah.
4
that's a great
hours.
idea.
Yeah.
And we don't have the money to buy a new machine, but I think if we can move
Yeah.
that machine
That
out.
thing was a horrible mistake.
And the
Right.
thing that we were holding off on, because Jason and I have discussed this and supported this, was we were hoping we could get more parking back by Bobby Downs and close off that driveway, but
Yeah.
that's not gonna happen. Not in the near future.
I've actually have a title search. I've got to get the information from Joe.
But I think we
About all
can
that.
still do my,
Oh no, yeah, they're not mutually exclusive.
they're not mutually
Yeah.
exclusive.
we might
And so
have
I'd
to
like
like
to
bike
pursue
racks.
doing it
Yeah.
even if we don't have the whole concept.
No, that's a great idea.
Okay.
No, perfect.
Yep,
That's
all right.
That's good. You might have
Alright.
to move the kiosk and the bike
Yeah, I'll
rack.
trade it back
That's
again.
fine.
Oh, you ready? Okay.
All right. So you got everything you need, Sally?
I do, thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Then,
the agenda.
oh, the minutes.
Yes, the minutes.
I just had them in my, oh, wait, okay.
Yeah, there was one thing under the discussion between the town and the village.
Yep.
Where we created the advisory committee.
I read it 3 times before I understood that it did do what we said.
Yes, the one thing that's
What
missing
page are you
though,
looking at?
at 2-3, middle of the page.
Yep.
What paragraph?
Starting with trustee Rhodes' move to approve her concept, I think is where Rebecca wants to be. And then
true?
on down.
Let's see. Oh,
From-
no, that was rescinded. Let me see, it's in here somewhere. Okay, that's not it.
Well, if you tell me what you're, I might remember where it is.
Come on. Okay, this would be
Where?
deleted. It's basically where Ariana and Rocco.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Down is the
Yeah.
second sentence from the bottom.
But just before, I believe it would be where Supervisor Zimmett moved to have the 2 boards serve as the
Yeah.
advisory committee with an active subcommittee. Included with that should be public notice of meetings, so that if a quorum of the board is in attendance. it
Well, we only have 2 people.
The whole idea though was for other members of the boards to be able to attend the meeting.
So that,
But
you're
you just
saying
attend and keep your mouth shut.
5 people who knocked on doors said, "Hey, vote for me," and I'm gonna keep their goddamn mouth shut.
I don't specifically.
So you're saying that all the
Yeah.
advisory committee meetings should be noticed as public meetings?
Because in
That way
case
it's open to others to come
Rebecca and
if
I
they
want to
choose.
go.
Yeah, just in
Yes.
case you want to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
That
So
was not, it wouldn't have, if it were part of the actual, if it were part of her actual motion, it would absolutely be here, but there's no
Okay.
reason I couldn't.
It wasn't a part of the
why don't we
motion.
make a
Yes.
motion right
I-
now?
okay.
Why don't we just approve the minutes and make this motion separately?
Sure.
That the village
That's
will
fine,
notice every
yeah.
meeting.
But I have, since Rebecca pulled them off, I think when something is removed from the agenda, it should not show in the minutes, because discussion on the parade park use request, that was taken off the agenda, and to show it is very confusing, because there's no discussion, you know. So I just wouldn't show it, Katie.
Okay. The only reason I show it is because if somebody were looking at the agenda and the minutes side by side.
Then you can note, item number 1 was removed from the agenda, item number 2 was
Yeah, that should be an approval of the agenda, and that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Okay.
It'll save some time and paper.
And it'll save her some typing too.
I always want to make the board happy,
Yeah.
so.
So we're gonna,
I saw one typo at the end,
Okay.
on the last page.
Yeah.
Mayor West appointed Catherine Stillberger to as the chair.
Yeah, as the chair, right.
Yeah.
But it could be a point too, it's just awkward.
all right,
Very late.
any other amendments? All right, I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You want to make your motion about noticing?
Yes. I would like to make a motion to have the joint advisory committee meeting to the,
Joint master plan.
for the joint master plan be noticed as public meetings.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Would you do me?
I'm sorry, is there just good?
No,
Okay.
this is just a request. Would you send a notice of that to Rosanna?
Specifically,
So
yes.
that the town board is aware, and to Tom and Ariana and to Dan and Jeff, that
Perfect.
this has been done so that they are aware.
And I knew it was part of the discussion and as I
It
recall,
never
was-
became part of the motion though, I do know that. I remember.
But it doesn't
And
matter.
I will, all right, so what's your vote?
Oh, I'm voting for it.
Okay, so it's 3
I
ayes.
seconded it.
I'd also like to make a motion in terms of this to request that the town board pay half the cost of noticing these meetings, with the understanding that even if they say no, the village will pay for noticing all of the advisory committee meetings. How much does it cost us to notice something? Am I being
Something this
nitpicky?
size.
I think it's like $36 a notice, but if there was a.
Oh, then I don't care. Let's just
No,
we'll just pay for
see,
it.
I think we did that as a part of the whole setup of the process and the contract and
Well,
all
not
that.
according to Rebecca's motion. We just voted that the village will pay for noticing. If there's only a handful of meetings, there's 6 meetings at $30, I don't care anymore. You know?
But it's
In principle, yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
thing.
All right, so I'll make, my motion stands.
Sure.
Request, though with the understanding if they say no for whatever reason, we will still pick up the tab. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else?
We want to go to executive
Yep,
session.
I'm waiting, yeah, except for that. All right, then I move we go into executive
No,
session.
before we do, can I ask a question
No.
or a favor?
What?
This only came to my attention.
Oh, the old one that we did in my last term, or our last term.
I never knew that we had done an energy audit,
I told Ariana that early on.
but no, but as
She
a board, I
yeah, she
didn't know.
yeah.
And,
And we've started some of it, like those windows.
Yeah,
were
well,
done as a
that
part of
is
it.
what I'm going to ask for a report on. I would like a report for the next meeting
On how much of it that.
on what was done, what wasn't done, and it is fascinating to me that this recommended natural gas,
You know, and every single proposal we got recommends natural gas.
recommends natural
I
gas.
think that the tide is going to turn on that decision.
Well, we've already got that. That's an approved motion. We
To
just
use natural
held it
gas?
off. Yes.
I thought we,
We voted on it and it's never been taken
Voted on
away.
It was 3 to 2, but you did not overturn the motion.
Yep.
voted
Wow.
on
What we did,
On
we
converting
voted
from-
to,
Converting from.
what? We voted 3-2 to use natural gas.
yes.
Yes.
And
So why
then,
haven't we done it yet?
because we were being polite and holding off because
Oh, holding off for
Rebecca
the-
and Ariana thought we should do an energy audit. So
Right.
we
Oh,
said we wouldn't
right.
pursue it out of
She
courtesy.
and I voted against it. And then
right.
we revisited with the entire,
It was an ad.
No, we didn't say we would revisit. We said we would wait until an energy audit was done. But the motion to go with gas is alive and well.
Good. And
And-
the generator is being held off on. to
And
wait for
because of that.
Yeah.
And I certainly did not know about this until today.
Yeah,
Because
should've-
I had
should've
asked,
told that.
I had asked Blue for a recommendation. There was nothing in the packet on what company we should go with.
Right.
And I asked
Yeah.
Blue
Which
if he
ones?
would review all of these, because
tables,
he
yeah.
didn't have them.
Yeah.
He didn't get
Yeah,
these.
he has them now.
He
Right.
does now, because Katie sent them
Yeah.
to him yesterday. I asked him if he would review them and make a recommendation who we should go with. So he said, well, let's sit down and talk. And that's when I found out about this.
Yeah.
So I really want to know
what was accomplished.
what was accomplished, what hasn't been done before I award
I agree with you. I agree with you.
money
Yes.
to
Honestly,
this.
I knew we had done one, but I didn't realize I didn't remember it was as thorough as that.
Yeah.
Yep, very
So-
I
thorough.
remember it, yeah.
So we want a memo from Blue, is who we want it reviewed by, because he's in
Whoever-
charge.
yeah.
He's in charge of the facilities.
What was
Yeah.
done, what wasn't done,
All right, so you want to make that, turn it into a motion?
if you wish, yes. I would like a report from Blue as regarding the energy audit that was completed January 22nd, 2004, as to which items have been done. Lighting is one of the things, and we've already done it. And
Yeah.
all these proposals want to evaluate our lighting, but we have done it.
Right.
So, what has been done, what hasn't been done.
Shows how, all right, I'll second that. You ready to
Aye.
have discussion?
Nope.
Aye.
Aye.
Good.
And you know what, it shows that my memory is going in my old age, because look at the date.
And
But
guess
that's-
who was mayor?
I know, but not, but
And
not
guess who
only.
was on the board?
Who was second, but
No,
not only that, but
I know about it.
if it was finished in January,
I mentioned the windows before,
Yeah.
but I don't think everyone here.
But
didn't
no
have-
one said, at least to this
Yeah,
board, at the board table.
It must have just
We
gone.
did an energy
Yeah.
audit 10 years
And it must
ago.
have been one of the first things we did because it was
Yes,
finished
it's-
by January. That means
That's
we'd
exactly
only been in
right.
office for 6 months before.
But
it's
there
finished.
is no point in reinventing wheels if we don't
Right.
have to.
Yeah,
All right.
but also. much
Are
of
we
the
going to talk about the
No.
fire truck for a minute?
I don't think we have to, do we?
Well, there's not anyone here to discuss it with.
Well, the only thing, I had
Sure, go
two
right ahead.
major questions. Number one, I'm glad we didn't do this because I just didn't feel that I had enough information. I do think, given your thought about May, we should get ourselves prepared,
Yes.
doing all of the things that Will has recommended and Ken Bond's recommended that
Yeah.
need preparatory, so that we're not caught at the last minute. And even if you decide not to do it, we're in place to do it when we
Yeah,
have to.
absolutely. I've already requested that as
Okay.
well, yeah.
Second thing is, how much money are we going to have to pay per year? Because I'm very concerned, if we're talking about $200,000 a year payment back on the bond, that's gonna throw us over the 2%. And I think if the fire department really feels that this is necessary, and I'm not gonna, then they must reduce their budget proportionately to whatever the mayor feels is going to be,
About 60,000 a year after the $120,000
that's what.
initial payment. We put a chunk down first
Right.
of 120, and after that it's about 60,000 a year
Okay.
over 20 years,
But it
which would bring
seems
us about
to me-
1.2 million. So
That we do have money that has been put aside for equipment,
Right.
low these many years. and I-
320,000.
Is that how much? So that would cover the first principle, but I think all of this needs
No,
to
that that 120 is assuming we are already using 325,000 for the truck.
Oh, that's assuming it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, that we pay 120,000 in the first year.
Yeah.
We wipe out our entire equipment reserve to pay for it, and then pay 60 grand a year for 20 years.
You're gonna wipe out the
Or
reserve
15
before you
years.
bond.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
That's critical to know.
Yeah, and yep,
Yeah,
that's critical to know, because.
and that's something we can do next year without hitting the taxes too hard.
But and that's
Yeah.
part of what I
Because
wanna
this is the
know.
last payment. Right now, we have this fiscal year in the budget. We have the last 60,000 payment on the another truck we bought.
Mm-hmm.
So the only reason that in the email I said that where the taxes would go up was because we're paying for two trucks at the same time.
I understood
So,
what
yeah.
I understood
Okay,
what you were saying.
yeah.
That's why I'm asking these questions,
Yeah,
because
so
I did understand.
Next
what-
fiscal year, we can swap one for the other with no noticeable impact to anybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that still brings the point that because pocketbooks are limited.
Mm-hmm.
If I want X, I have to be willing to give up some Y and Z
Mm-hmm.
as trade-off, so that the fire budget isn't going up.
Right.
What they're asking for plus.
yeah.
Okay. And,
The
and,
other-
I,
They've already reduced
and
their
this
budget.
will
Yeah,
give
they
us.
reduced the
yeah.
budget by like
And
40,000.
this might
Yeah.
give us a little time to do what I had offered to do with you. I think if we're buying this and what was the figure I said? The fire calls in the village portion, I think were 153.
It's 49% for us, 51 for the towns
Right.
here.
And then
But,
the campus.
but
yeah.
that's not the point. 2/3 are campus
Yes.
calls,
Right.
of which 81 were false alarms.
Out of 100 and something, yeah.
And that's, to me, says.
And that's even with Scott Schulte being hired up there
Yeah.
to
But that
knock
says
that
to
down.
me that Scott and Rebecca and I need to go make a visit to see if a donation will be made.
That's a great idea.
And there is also, there could be, I won't say it, for sure, but there could be a chance that we would look to applying fines over a certain amount of false alarms.
Can we do that to a not for, I do
That I'm
not,
not sure if we can.
I don't think, I'm not sure we can. That's a good question
Yeah.
for Steve Greenfield.
Yes.
'Cause
Like
he
if you have
seems to be up on this stuff.
5 or
Because,
more
yeah,
false alarms or whatever,
The police,
3 or
the
more.
police department can do it to
Right,
businesses.
for businesses.
Right.
But I am not sure that same
Right,
law
exactly, which is why
applies
I'm saying,
on
I'm
campus.
not gonna say for
Okay.
sure, but there is the potential.
Yeah, I know there is for out in the business world and,
Right.
you know, where if you and I have a house,
Yeah.
you know, alarm that goes off. But I'm not sure we can.
Yeah, I don't know either.
invoke
That's
that.
something that we should.
That's a good
consider.
question for Wolfram.
You know, it might be another, just 1 second though. Might be another interesting avenue is last year, I helped out Bree, the fire department secretary and the fire chief, to get in touch with the White House Office of Intergovernmental Affairs, which is an arm of the White House that is specifically tasked with reaching out to local governments, you know, instead of dealing with the state level all the time. And when they actually called me, because I have, through some nonprofits I'm associated with, they have a sister relationship. So they actually called and asked what we would need, because it's a new initiative. And firefighting is one that I thought they could help with, because it's a national problem, volunteer firefighting declining, not just us. And they actually were very helpful. They identified a couple of federal grants, safety grants and things like, that's not safety, the word, all caps, SAFETEA. It's like an acronym for something.
Okay.
At the time, we were looking at grants for recruitment and retention of members. But I wonder if there's apparatus, that might be a resource we don't really tap into much. Federal money, you know, rather than just
Well, we need a
local,
grants
state.
person,
Yeah.
so. And hopefully.
And I put in this year's budget. We went from what, 5 to 10,000 or 15,000? Do you remember, Rebecca?
We have money in this current budget for a grants person.
Yeah, and I doubled or tripled it
Yeah,
this
I
year.
think-
But we don't
for
have a
things
grants
like
person.
this. Well, we have Mark Blauer.
But he can't do these kinds of grants.
It depends on the time of year. He can now. He can't when it's
But I
CFA
mean,
time.
he said sidewalks and things like that he couldn't do grants for.
Well, there's others. There's Steve Dennismore and some others.
Anyway, so you
Anyway,
know
we
what?
yeah.
So I think we ought to get our homework done, prepped and ready to go.
Absolutely.
But I also think, aside from asking for a donation, if we could say, for every 10 students who volunteer as firemen, they will get a certain credit.
That's a great idea. Neil, you had to.
When I was an undergrad, you would lose your deposit for the dorm. You know, your security deposit, your safety deposit, if your dorm had above a certain number of false alarms.
Really?
So
But that was a private school,
You were at
wasn't it?
Cornell?
No, I was at University of New Hampshire as an undergrad.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't live in the dorms as a grad student, but as an undergrad, you know, and maybe it was they can do anything in New Hampshire, but yeah, so it went through my life, right? So if,
That's an interesting
if your
question.
dorm, so it made it much more local, and then there was
Yeah.
also a lot of, you know, peer pressure policing. And
So
stuff.
it's per building rather than per
Yeah.
suite or room. Yeah.
It's like, hey, dude, don't pull that. We're
Right.
going to lose our security deposit.
Right,
You know,
right,
suddenly
right.
you weren't cool to,
Right.
to do that anymore. So
That's an interesting
That
idea.
is interesting. Yeah. Well, we'll ask our attorney about that too.
Right, are we going into?
We are. I'll move. We go into executive session, discuss personnel matters.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Neil. Thanks.
Thank you.
No, unless we're not taking action on your executive session.
No?
No. Okay.
Yeah.
You're good. Head out.
Thank you.
So this is what happens when it's just me, Rebecca, and Sally. Boom, boom, boom. The meeting's done in 45 minutes. We're out.